Good morning. This is the Innovation Conversation. Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you, sir?
Good to see you. So there was a story that ran on Axios, and it was actually similar to a story that I had run on Morning Newsbeat a couple of weeks ago about this new technology standard called Matter. And basically the idea is to create, in this case, interoperability for smart home devices. So if you have you may have some Amazon stuff, you may have some Apple stuff, you may have some Google stuff. I mean, one of the things that's always kind of concerned me about the market is once you made a commitment to one, oh man, you're into them forever, and that could create limitations. And I gather that what this is this is an effort to say, no, we're going to be less parochial in the way we allow people to mix and match.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes good sense. Just the whole idea of having, like you said, having to make that bet on an ecosystem, right? And do you hesitate to dive fully into one of the ecosystems until like, you can get enough stuff from them and you're comfortable enough with that one? So you might dabble with a Google device, have a couple Amazon devices, have a couple Apple, and then say, all right, well, I'm not gonna engage in too many more of these, right? Until I know that I can really trust one ecosystem and dive in. And this actually enables you to not have that risk, right? If they do all work well together, then you can just go for what offers you the best functionality and serves your own, needs as you have them.
Yeah, because the things I've read, like about the Apple HomePod, I guess it is that the sound on that is supposedly better than everybody else's sound, but none of its other functionality is nearly close to what, say, Amazon does or Google does.
Yeah, so you can do best of breed, kind of all around your house. So you can have, a Bose sound system. You could have a different security system. You could have something else doing your garage door, something else doing your lights. You have all kinds of stuff around your kitchen, and you can just have best of breed for each of those.
Right. Yeah. We have our Amazon cooked into Sonos, and it's great. And it's, hard part is always remembering you got so many passwords. That's the
yeah, exactly. Yes.
But to me, in some ways, this sort of, when I saw the story, it sort of highlighted for me the degree to which I think retailers are going to be better able to innovate if they do a better job of collaborating, right? Which is sort of another term for interoperability, and create and work with other non-competing retailers or systems or platforms or whatever to figure out a way to create greater relevance overall to the consumer, even if they only have a piece of it. And I don't think most retailers tend to think that way right now.
Yeah, I think particularly forward-thinking retailers that really understand differentiation, and then understand the commoditization of non-value-added stuff. If you look over the years, be it ECR, UCCnet, GS1, right? There's been a lot of efforts for the industry to standardize stuff that creates friction, right? And the more you do that, the better your stuff around that works. So I think that there's a general acknowledgement, if not appetite, for it out there. And I think now, as you start thinking, in the generation we're in now and, future, massive opportunities to standardize or at least have tech that's interoperable, data standards that, can extend, across retailers and manufacturers. These kinds of like shared services that, that's maybe non-differentiating, that, where that service can be done well, but it's not necessary for a specific retailer to invest in that.
Yeah.
I think if you look at kind of, this idea of, just being able to collaborate more freely, I think this mindset and this idea of kind of interoperability is ultimately very powerful, to enable retailers to serve customers in new ways, do it efficiently, and be able to have a fast innovation cycle.
Well, and it's had sort of a long runway, although it's pretty complex. So maybe it's a short runway when you put it in context. but it's like the open voice network, right? We had John Stein on here, and now it's been several years since I was on here talking about the idea of creating a you know, a level playing field for everybody. So everybody has access to some level of voice technology, understanding that was going to end up competing with Amazon, but the only way to compete against Amazon was for everybody to kind of get into it together. And certainly, I guess Target and Wegmans are two of the founding members of that.
Yeah, so that network does not collaborate with Amazon.
I don't think they do at this point.
Okay, yeah, and you wonder how prevalent that network is, you know, in devices offered, you know, by and through these partners. It'd be interesting to kind of understand where they're at. It's got to be so hard to start these kind of coalitions, but totally get the value.
Yeah.
You know, just wonder if adoption has been strong. I mean, I know it seems often, you know, when you do use anything voice activated, it does seem like it works a lot better now than it did, you know, some number of years ago. Certainly all the Amazon stuff, you can clearly see that that's working better, but it feels like even most anything else, you know, that you're interacting with voice, it's not nearly as clunky as it used to be.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it seems to me that in some ways, and again, collaboration, interoperability, what do you want to call it? I mean, the Farmstead deal with Circle K strikes me as being this, and it's not it has a technology component to it, but it's sort of also an example of non-competing retailers or complementary retailers sort of figuring out a way to connect in a way that makes sense for both businesses. Helps Farmstead get a much bigger footprint out there in terms of having physical locations for drop off and pickup. And then it helps Circle K figure out, okay, how do we expand beyond our traditional convenience store mix and compete on a much bigger playing field than they have traditionally. And I wonder if those kinds of deals, you know, are the kinds of things more retailers should be looking for.
Well, I mean, you combine the strengths of partners, right? You know, the strengths of Farmstead with their, you know, ability to source, you know, high quality fresh products, the reach of Circle K. You know, we talk about, you know, Instacart often on here, but as a retailer, right? I mean, if you can work with Instacart to leverage the best of what they do, right, with pick, pack, and delivery, with the best of what you offer, which is a great suite of services, high quality products, you know, and put them together, it can be really powerful, you know. And I think it's really key. And we come back in this innovation conversation all too frequently to understand your customer, understand how it is you can differentiate, you can offer them something unique and better than your competition, so that it's super valuable to them that they keep running back to you.
Right.
Focus on that stuff. And then everything else that supports the business, you definitely want to offer, you know, various capabilities, but you don't really need to invest in them, you know, partner with those that are better at those, and you don't need to do everything yourself. In fact, you can't really do everything yourself.
Well, I'll quibble with one turn of phrase there. You said all too frequently. I don't think we do it too frequently, because I don't think retailers, because that would imply that most retailers are doing it, and therefore we can shut up about it. And I don't think, I have to say, I don't think that's the case.
No, I agree.
Because again, I am loath to say something nice about Instacart, but if you were a retailer and you had real confidence in the differentiated nature of your fresh operation, right? Produce, bakery, meat, seafood, deli. And you wanted to figure out a way to work with an Instacart-like company and say, hey, listen, you guys handle CPG, you handle the packaged products, we'll handle the fresh, we'll figure out how to make it work economically here. As long as our most valuable possession, which is our customer list, is not put at risk. I mean, that could actually be a pretty interesting, that'd be a pretty interesting business model. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily work for, let's say, a Stu Leonard's, but the vast majority of what Stu Leonard's has is fresh, right?
Yeah.
and he does not, and he has a very limited selection of traditional CPG dry grocery and non-edible grocery.
Yeah.
But if he decided he wanted to open a store someplace and say, listen, we're going to do our usual thing, but we're going to allow you to order through XYZ, whoever it happens to be.
Yeah.
And therefore you're going to have, I mean, how long have we been talking about the long tail, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to have a much longer tail of product that we have not traditionally made available to you, but now you can get it through us. We're going to be able to dip our beak a little bit and right. Suddenly that's a much more interesting business model to me. I think that's
I think so. Well, and from the serving the customer standpoint, customers need that range of products. And, in this case, Stu Leonard would be saying, oh, I'm going to make it easier for you to get that. You can get more, from this one single ordering point. You can get all these great fresh products that we have, all of our signature items, with our signature kind of, branding and attitude. And then we've got this kind of longer tail of stuff we know you need.
Right.
We're not going to sell this bottle of laundry detergent any better than our competition necessarily. Of course, unless you have an auto replenishment, then it is better.
And we like auto replenishment.
Of course. But, you're not going to differentiate over that. But if you can make it easier for the customer, you can get the benefit of, the solving more of the customer's need. If you can get some additional, ad revenue or, kind of CPG related revenue around that, that's awesome. Yeah. So that's a pretty interesting value proposition, enabling them to focus on what they do well, partnering with what others do well.
Yeah. And a company that could, you have somebody at your front door, but we'll ignore that.
No, it's all. It's the
I mean, an example of that, and I wrote here a couple of weeks ago about how, so Wegmans is coming in 2 miles from my house, right? And I wrote about all the different, looking forward to it, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I wrote about it at the time, and I the more I think about it and also kind of look at other Wegmans and then go visit the other stores, the company that's the most at risk there is Stop and Shop, it seems to me.
Yeah.
You go into a Stop and Shop and then you compare it to a Wegmans that is, one is a quarter mile away from a Wegmans and the other one's about a mile away from Wegmans. Nobody's going to those Stop and Shops if they can go to Wegmans just as easily, unless they really want to go to a place that's empty. But and there's no crowds, but that is its own problem. But it seems to me then, and listen, it'll take a couple of years for Wegmans to build and open this store. Now would be the time for a company like Stop and Shop to say, okay, listen, we've got Peapod Digital Labs.
Yep.
We have Fresh Direct.
Yep.
We have the ability to rethink our model.
Yep.
And not do what everybody else is doing, and figuring out a way to slice the bread in a different way so that they're more relevant to customers and at least are going into battle with a different set of weapons as opposed to the same weapons.
Absolutely. Yes. Figure out what you can do well, do it as well as you can and as aggressively as you can before Wegmans opens. There's a bunch of stuff Wegmans is going to do really well that you're going to really struggle to compete with.
Right.
But if you can connect with that digital shopper, if you can put a whole bunch of their assortment, on auto replenishment, you'll at least gain that volume and gain that share. And think of the other services and things you can offer around your store and value proposition for them. Build that up and grab as many of those customers and get them as deeply engaged as you can. Before the competition comes in and chips it and works hard to chip away at it.
Yeah, and that seems to me a perfect place to collaborate, either with things you own in house, right? Which is something like a Fresh Direct or Peapod
Absolutely
Labs.
Yeah.
Or to figure out how to collaborate with other outside companies that can provide services that you're not providing already.
Absolutely, for sure.
So I mean, to me, that was the interesting thing about because the Axios piece and the piece that I had done a couple of weeks ago about the interoperability of all these voice systems. What they talked about was creating the smart home. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me, not to stretch the metaphor too far, but what we're really talking about here is retailers creating a smart supermarket.
Absolutely.
Right. And
it's smart engagement.
Yeah. And I have to say, I don't hear that term used very much. I don't know that I hear people talking about, let's create the smart shopping experience, which is to say without friction.
Yeah.
Right? That's got to be kind of the goal. So,
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, hopefully we'll start hearing it more.
Well, we'll start selling it here, you know.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to bring back our good friend Glen Terbeek then, because he was the godfather of frictionless shopping.
It's here. Agentry agenda, you know, it's right.
All right, love it.
All right, well, listen, that's this edition of the agentry agenda.
Terbeek's going to be laughing.
He's so happy with. He'll be so happy with. That's this edition for the innovation conversation. Tom, it's great to see you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds great, Kevin. Have a great one.
See you. Bye. Bye.